Hey, you listen to Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, episode 141. This is Grady Hooker, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey!
So, in Raw today, they seemed to pit the Dudleys against the Wyatt family. And of course that leaves them outnumbered 2-4. So we got to see the marvelous return of a Dudley's comrade.
And possibly not the last one. Let me see.
No, it definitely surprised me that in their last feud, it was 2 versus 3 with the New Day, and that ended without them bringing a third on. And now it's 2 versus 4, and they only bring a third on. It seems like they don't like having numbers even in Dudley feuds. But we did at least get to see the return of Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, it's on a per shot basis.
Yeah.
He doesn't currently have a contract with WWE.
Yeah.
Just he had some available dates, and WWE brought him in.
That almost seems like the way they're starting to operate. You could see it down in NXT a little bit, is now that they're just sort of, hiring people on, giving them their shots, especially with these return guys now, and then letting them go off and do whatever they want. Did they really need Dreamer, or is this a direction that they might be going in the future?
I think it was just we have 4 Wyatts, and we need some ECW. We need somebody to work with the Dudleys. Let's call in an ECW original. Let's call in the ECW original.
Yeah.
And see if he's available for a few shows.
So, who's our fourth going to be, if we get a fourth?
Well, they have one ECW original in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
They also have one that's floating around that sometimes works for them, like for 90 days at a time.
Yep.
So they have a couple options.
Or, they could just bring back Spike.
I think Spike's retired and happy about it.
Yeah. Definitely when music played, everybody wanted Spike, but you were never gonna really... I think the odds of getting Spike to actually come in for the feud is low, maybe a once appearance, but he doesn't seem like he's wrestling at the moment. I think he's like an insurance person or something like that. Loans.
Whatever he's doing, he's very happy with it.
Yeah. But might we get a different ECW original along the lines of some guys who are still wrestling on the independent circuit rather than the ones that they've already got? Because Rhino doesn't seem like he has any want, really. And RVD, nobody really ever knows what's happening with RVD.
We might, but we're probably going to be more likely to get RVD and Rhino if they add anybody else to the Dudley side than just than a random ECW person. They're more likely to go with the more known names.
Fair enough. And in the Divas division, pulling off to there, we got Ric Flair standing in the corner of Charlotte, leading to a weird match outcome. In the main event.
Charlotte is definitely starting to take on a lot of her father's persona.
Yeah.
A little bit of the dirtiest girl in the game, so to speak.
Yeah. Hopefully this is the character depth she needs. For some reason, coming on the main roster, she was a bit lackluster. I think it might have been an expectations versus reality thing, but it may just be that extra thing that she needs. but it seems most sort of second generation stars try not to exactly draw the line to this is my parent, I am following in their lineage, and try to go off on their own. So it's interesting that they are entirely 100% embracing this and almost making it her character.
Yeah, we'll have to see where they go from here, but it definitely appears that they're at least leaning towards a heel turn for Charlotte, which then will mean they'll have to turn somebody else face.
Yeah, I had that discussion. Who is a face left in that division? Becky and Natalia. All I could think of.
Well, it kind of appeared they already turned 3.
Yeah.
But then again, that may have been a one-time thing because she was facing Sasha.
Yeah.
But
Or maybe they just need to bring in a new one.
Yes. A certain one.
That's all happy, peppy in face. That was the first thing Mum said when it was like, Charlotte's gone heel, who's left? It's like, oh, well, Bayley's still there. But do you think that the NXT women's division could deal without Bayley right now?
Well, I would say yes, because there is a lot of talent there. And the fact that Bayley's probably not going to be there much longer anyway.
True.
I would say after she's done with her feud that leads into the next TakeOver show.
Yep.
I don't want to say because it will spoil.
Fair enough.
Things. She will probably move up.
Yeah. I think you've probably got like another. It could be like Sasha, where she does both for a little while, but there's about like a month of sweet spot at the moment where you have to start bringing up these new women so they can start getting ready, start going out. So, what do we got down there? We got Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Eva Marie, Nia Jax. Then you got the 2 Australians, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, who are being used quite sparingly. And you got a couple others down there that they just sort of need that little bit of elevation, come up sort of big time in the NXT for a little while, just so everybody starts getting to know them, and then when Bayley leaves, they can sort of take over and run the division.
There's another one that we could bring up. Carmella.
Yeah.
Bring her up with Enzo and Cass.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, is you can't bring up Carmella without Enzo and Cass at the moment, which is not necessarily a problem. And we do have quite a thriving tag team division. But we'll just go into our classic entrance theme. We'll continue the talk when we get back. You'll probably guess what the main theme is after this, but this is Finley's theme. And you're back with Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, Grady and Josh. So just before we went to the break, we were talking about a thriving tag team division, just because that's a good segue. We're going to be getting a triple threat tag team ladder match.
At least we hope it's a ladder match. It hasn't been announced as anything other than a triple threat match.
For some reason, I read it somewhere as a ladder match.
No, they didn't announce that it was a ladder match, just a triple threat match.
Okay. Well, let's just put the ladders on it. Problem solved.
Yeah, there's got to be a ladder match at TLC, so let's make this the ladder match.
Yeah. It was exactly where everybody saw it going.
It looks like the chairs match is going to be the match between Owens and Ambrose.
Yep.
For once, there'll be a chairs match at TLC that doesn't involve the Big Show.
But he's the chairs match master. Well, not really, but hey.
I'm still waiting for him to bring out the giant-sized table.
Yep.
That's the only giant-sized item that he hasn't used. He had the giant chair in his feud with Sheamus a couple of years ago. He had the giant ladder when he was in the Money in the Bank match. But no giant-sized table.
Interesting. Well, Big Show's not really in a feud right now that you can put him in with a table.
No, because the tables are going to obviously be the Dudleys.
Yeah. So sort of everything's slowly being booked out. With the Dudleys, it depends, I guess, whether they get their fourth or not, whether it's a 4-on-4 or whether it's a 3-on-3. But we're quickly running out of build. So what do we got? We got like 2 SmackDowns and a Raw left, I think.
3 SmackDowns and 2 Raws at the time in which we're recording. By the time this airs, there'll be 2 of each.
Wow, okay. It's a lot longer than I thought it was. I thought it was 2 more weeks.
Because the pay-per-view is not next Sunday, but the Sunday after.
Okay. But already at this point, they've announced more matches than the last pay-per-view the day before the pay-per-view. Or we've at least had the TLC match announced for the TLC pay-per-view. But yeah, it'll be... With Reigns and Sheamus, they did a weird thing where they essentially made Reigns win within 5 minutes or everybody lost everything.
I kind of expected them to throw Tamina's job on the line as well.
So did you like what they were doing with that, or... Because it seemed a majority of people were not fans of the win within 5 minutes or everybody loses everything storyline.
I didn't have a problem with it. I kind of expected something wonky would happen, and like he wins the match at exactly 5 minutes and 15 seconds, and so he doesn't win the title, he doesn't win the match, but then Vince McMahon comes out and overrules the Authority or something like that.
In my head, it was always like he was going to win within 5 minutes, but he wasn't going to walk out with the title.
Yeah, that was the other option. There was no way he was walking out with the title.
No.
Even if they did something where he won the title, then they beat him up and made him defend the title again and lost the title back to Sheamus.
Yeah, something like that. He wasn't walking out with the title, but they weren't going to strip everything from everyone, essentially. So there had to be some middle ground there. And we developed our League of Nations group more, and they have a name. So we got Sheamus, King Barrett, Rusev, and Alberto Del Rio. It's quite a formidable team.
Yes. Question is will this be as will this be a good thing, or will it flop as hard as the real League of Nations did?
Bit of a political history. Yeah, I don't know. At the moment, it just seems like a clumping of some good wrestlers, and we haven't seen it enough to develop or see where it's going to go yet. A 4-man team. I'm not thinking off the top of my head a time where a 4-man team has gone really well. There's been a lot of 3-man teams that have done really well, but it seems that once you get into that 4 group, especially lately, I guess the Wyatts are pulling it off, but when you get to 4, somebody always seems to fall to the wayside, and there's always somebody that you can't focus on because 4 is just too many.
Yeah, I thought they might have, earlier in the night, they might have been preparing Rusev for a face turn with the whole match with Ryback and him kind of pretty much walking out on his match with the injured Lana, quotation marks.
Yeah.
But then they brought him back out for that for the debut of that stable, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll go from here. See where we're going.
Fair enough. Either way, I guess we'll see what happens. But a member of that faction, previous segue into Finley's entrance theme, because I messed up today, is King Barrett. So we should play King Barrett's theme. Definitely not Sheamus's. Definitely King Barrett's. And you're back with FreeFM 89.0 Wrestling Roundup, Grady and Josh. So there's a couple of things left on Raw that we haven't touched on. So what's up with Adam Rose is my one question.
It seems like he's doing some type of like TMC type of angle on WWE storylines. I don't know. Maybe it's just something new to give him a chance to do something different.
Yeah.
To possibly get over. Maybe it was definitely interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what to quite think of it yet. Because I need to see more to see where they're going with this whole thing. But I'm not entirely disinterested.
I don't totally hate it. Yeah, it's the same way with me. He's gone through a lot of character changes. Since coming to the main roster, he hasn't exactly worked out 100%. It seems they were almost trying to go with the party pooper route. Now they're trying to go this way. So I'm still not 100% sure on where they're going. This one segment, that was like a minute, was alright to me. It reminded me a lot of the old Miz and Morrison in terms of what they'd do. But slightly more
a lot of people hated it because it wasn't Leo Kruger.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you gotta let that die.
It's
just let's see what they do with him and see if we're entertained by it. And then go from there.
Yeah. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I vaguely remember on the E60 special, they weren't very sold on Leo Kruger. And he wasn't able to, do wonders with it as they expected. But either way.
And if I remember correctly, he said the whole Adam Rose thing was his idea.
Yeah.
So, and if I remember, he said he didn't really like being Leo Kruger.
That's what I'm remembering.
He didn't feel genuine.
Well, someone who's definitely acting 100% legitimate is Titus O'Neil.
Oh, he's had some fun moments with Stardust.
He's, to me, he's, pun intended, he's being a bit of a shining star right now, in these comedy sketches. He's hilarious. He's got the face and the mannerisms to pull off the funny, but you'd also believe him with the title belt over his shoulder.
Yeah, it was definitely was fun. Maybe Titus just weirds out Stardust so much he finally says, "You know what? I give up. I'm going back to being Cody Rhodes. I'm Cody Rhodes again."
Do you think we're going to see a Cosmic Wasteland versus Primetime and Goldust anytime soon?
Probably.
That's where I see at the moment this leading to, as a 3-on-3. Don't know if there's a stipulation or anything, but just something along those lines. Unless they're going to push Titus Stardust instead of Stardust Goldust, like everybody was predicting. Could go either way, to be honest. But when we're talking about Adam Rose, we're talking about NXT call-ups coming up to the main roster. We've had Tyler Breeze come up now, and he just lost to Dolph Ziggler. So, what is he now? He's 1-2, I think. What are they doing with Tyler? Does anyone know?
I think they're just trying to build him up, build up his character, and just to get him more exposed to the main roster fans.
Yeah.
Especially those that don't have the network or don't watch NXT for some reason.
Yeah. It seems as though, it's just this feeling out period. Figure out who he is. Everybody's got to work it out. And he's in the feud with Ziggler, which isn't always the best of places to be. it seems as though feuds with Ziggler always, people put them on a pedestal and that they're going to be really great, but they never seem to turn out quite the best. And we're still waiting for that Ziggler-Cena feud. But I don't know.
Cena had to go take time off.
Yeah. Cena's a weird thing at the moment in terms of taking time off. It seems as though he's filming a reality show, but he's also just taking the time off to take the time off. And I'm pretty sure I read a comment from him about wanting to let other people shine. And instead they just all get injured. Because we've lost probably, 6 of the bigger stars at the moment to injury or to time off. I'm thinking along the lines of Cena, Orton, Rollins, and other people that I'm forgetting. Cesaro, I guess, at the point.
Daniel Bryan's still out.
Daniel Bryan.
I think somebody had figured out that of the 63 people on the main roster and NXT rosters, 22 have been injured at some point in the last year.
Yep. I'd believe that. There's been a lot of injuries this year. It has been a really bad year for injuries. Which has led, you'd think, a lot of people are always like, oh, these injuries will lead them to pushing these newer stars. But it hasn't necessarily done that. We've had, Reigns, Sheamus, and Rollins, and a little bit of Ambrose, pretty much. And then the Brock Lesnar and Undertaker and Cena, all sort of in the top part, but none of them are new to the top part this year with these injuries. We've had the sort of ascending of the US and Intercontinental titles, trying to make them more important and trying to get the newer stars to them, but there hasn't been really any brand new main event talent that's come out of these injuries. Unless I'm discounting someone. So it'll be interesting to see once they start coming back now.
I think you have discounted somebody.
Who have I discounted?
Kevin Owens.
Yeah, true. I always forget, even though that he has the US title, the Intercontinental title, that he's still pretty main event. So yeah. Okay, you get one.
And there's the possible 5th for the League of Nations, by the way.
Yeah. It would be interesting. He doesn't seem very Canadian to me. Every time
but he is from Canada.
I keep saying, oh, he's Canadian. Everyone's like, what? He just looks American. He acts American. There's nothing sort of... I guess with all the Canadians, essentially, for the people watching at home, you got to be in the Hart family or you're not a Canadian.
Tell that to Chris Jericho, who invented Canada.
I'm sorry. There's actually a lot of Canadian talents down in NXT at the moment, or was like a month ago.
Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's another one.
Yep.
Although he's more along lines, though his gimmicks and stuff are more along the lines of his Arabic background.
Yeah.
But he is from Canada.
Okay, well, that's the 30 minutes. We're all out of time. It's been great talking to you.
Okay.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling Radio. I'll see you next week.